Previously, I have talked at great length about pareidolia, which is the manner in which your brain fills in details where they are not available. This plays into gaslighting greatly. One would think that gaslighting is not a particularly useful tool when used in overt ways. However, if the truth is very close, or events and actual evidence can be reframed to fit the narrative, gaslighting serves to shift reality closer to that narrative. There's a saying, fake it until you make it. It can be useful in many contexts. Unfortunately, it can also create or reinforce the new narrative which a manipulator is pushing. AI and algorithms altering our shared reality for the worse. Algorithms dilute and blanch to the most mainstream. This marginalizes any archetype which deviates from that paradigm. Nothing will end up being perfect in conformity, but the closer one is able to get to this algorithmic paradigm, the more successful they will be. This is how we get influencer culture, where people are literally shilling for capitalism for free or even at cost to themselves. People are trying to do anything for attention without artistic merit. Many times in this era, you will see people also acting against their best interest, almost knowingly, but often unwittingly. This makes it much easier to replace actual people with AI, since creativity is no longer needed. Cult brainwashing techniques are now being used on a nationwide scale to control the behavior of the general population. That's how they get you. Setting the stage. During this particular time, everyone has been largely destabilized by the pandemic. Additionally, the technological revolution has created a system in which our real concrete lives are controlled by things which are entirely artificial and often controlled by the worst people possible. These people are greatly invested in control over others, but in fact do not have realistic or long-term plans for those ostensibly beneath them. For these people are narcissists and psychopaths. How we have allowed them to take power is a long process, which I trace back to 9/11. I'm sure many of you could make compelling arguments for it having begun before that. I have, for example, thought a lot recently about how Lyndon B. Johnson's presidency created a blueprint which was then expanded upon by Dick Cheney during Bush Jr.'s administration. I would love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments below. Cults create a separate environment in which the participants operate. I'm not going to go into cults here too much, because there are already a lot of channels here on YouTube discussing this topic with much better research and background than I'm currently able to provide. The most important part of brainwashing is the narrative. This is the storyline created by the leader to fabricate a shared reality for the members. Previously, I have spoken on this channel about egregores. These are concepts which are brought to life by a group effort. This operates through the same mechanism. In order to deprogram oneself from this cult or whatever egregore is being used as a mechanism of control, one must interpret where this narrative is embedded in one's life and reject it. This can involve reinforcing good boundaries between oneself and others who are vested in the narrative. Unfortunately, this can be very isolating. Ensure that you are introducing yourself to a variety of new social groups in order to find places where the shared reality is more congruous with your own. Toxicity in creative communities. Unfortunate also is the way in which social politics is used as an exclusionary tool within creative communities. Many people masquerading as leftist and compassionate are quick to dogpile people and accuse them of heinous acts as a means of excommunicating them from a community. Someone who is genuinely guilty of objectionable behavior will quickly and anonymously move on to a different group and continue to victimize others unchecked. Someone who is not guilty is simply isolated and pushed out of their support system. Yes, this too is gang stalking. I have seen more instances of this being used successfully as a political tool than I have seen it used as an effective means of eliminating predatory behavior. Usually the issue is never addressed directly with the person being accused, as this threatens to expose the manipulation. Never do the manipulators face any repercussions for their narcissism and psychopathy. If a legitimate issue is exposed, all parties are able to work together and reach a positive resolution. This type of false competition is creating toxic and stagnant artist scenes in most disciplines, whether it's visual arts, music, or even film and other branches of the entertainment industry. These same tactics are used by the billionaire oligarchy to control the general public through the institution of algorithms. Anyone deviating too far outside the parameters of the algorithm's paradigm will be effectively isolated and suppressed. This too creates a toxic and stagnant artistic climate. This too is gang stalking. This is done to create an environment in which human talent is replaceable with AI. Outside of this specific narrative, AI would never be perceived as replacing human creativity. People are crashing out of this carefully cultivated system which these oligarchs have attempted to perpetuate. Unfortunately, the creation of this ultra-unrealistic standard has created a huge rift between the truth of reality and the manufactured technocratic state, making it both untenable and unsustainable.